What up, Pittsburgh Steelers fans? Matty Shannon White here for another set of Steelers Global Perspective content. Mate, how you doing on this fine Thursday afternoon for you, Friday morning for me?
Yeah, it's a beautiful day today, sunny, warm. Got some hay fields down, and this is Father's Day week.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
We
so
do it differently in Australia. It's in September, so
yeah, well, we got the Father's Day weekend. I'm so blessed and thankful to be a father, and so I like to celebrate. I wish I still had mine with me, but till I see him again, but I still honor him, and we'll have Sunday on Father's Day. We'll have my father-in-law come and break bread with us, and we'll just celebrate and have a great weekend.
I love it. I love it. Sounds good. Well, the Steelers wrapped up, as you and I go to record this, wrapped up mandatory minicamp. Now they got a break till July 24th. July 24th, 6 weeks effectively, until training camp in Latrobe. A couple of things to unpack that we'll do through our content. I want to kick off with the first one, which was Terrell. There was a big article. They splashed it all over Steelers.com. Terrell Austin, we're going to put Minkah back where he belongs. And, we've heard a little bit like a week or two ago about Minkah Ball. Everyone was talking about Minkah Ball. And obviously we want Minkah doing Minkah things. But I kind of like sitting there going, we want him back where he belongs. And then it was funny. That was kind of there as the subtitle and the icon on one part of the website. And you clicked on the article and it said, we want, Minkah back playing, his position. And then it was like a colon free safety. I might be mixing up a word or two there. And I'm kind of sitting there. And as a fan, as a Steelers podcaster, I was like, oh yeah, I understand what they're saying. As a fan, it was infuriating. Now, I went on and on last year about the Steelers needing a strong safety. I went on about the Steelers needing more depth at linebacker in the offseason. And yes, they ended up with Quan and ended up with 4 starters, and we had all these injuries, etc., etc. But I also said the idea of bringing you need 2 decent strong safeties because with the amount of sub packages Steelers play, you need to have versatility and you need to be able to have someone that can fill in it. Not just dime backer, but can fill in as like a linebacker in coverage if absolutely pressed because of injuries. They didn't do any of that. Keanu Neal didn't work out. They bet the house on him. And so Minkah obviously had to do things that aren't usually Minkah things, or play Minkah Ball or play out of position. But I kind of got infuriated that we're sitting there going, well, but when Minkah gets to play free safety, he's the best free safety in the league. Well, hang on. You had weeks where you knew Neal wasn't working. You had a lot of linebacker injuries on the season, and you did nothing toward the trade deadline to fix this. I don't know. It just kind of jilted me the wrong way. It made me really angry.
Well, I'm going to say something that Big G always says on our Pump Your Brakes podcast. This is a safe place, Matty. You can vent. You can let out all that frustration, and I won't even charge you by the hour.
I appreciate it.
But it's kind of, it's the same with the Nate Herbig situation. He's starting center at minicamp, and got Zach Frazier backing him up, when we all know that Zach Frazier is by far already a better center than Nick Herbig. If Nate Herbig was really a candidate to be the starting center, he should have been last year because Mason Cole was a mess. He was an absolute mess. He couldn't even snap the ball towards the end. They released him outright, and nobody's picked him up as far as I know. That says a lot because he can play guard too. But I think it was just such a bad look for him last year. And if that was the case, why did Nate Herbig not get a chance last year? This is kind of that stubborn streak that the Tomlin and the Steelers have. We're going to make you earn it. So they went into last year. Me and you talked about it. I talked about it on many podcasts and articles that Keanu Neal was not the answer. He could not duplicate Terrell Edmunds. They lost the ability to shut down tight ends. They lost the speed to be that security blanket on the back end of the defense. They lost that physicality to come downhill quickly and play like a box linebacker. So who had to do that? Well, Minkah Fitzpatrick. He did his best. I admire him. He did it. He did not complain. He got beat up. I mean, his shoulder by the end of the year was messed up.
Minkah playing with a broken hand.
Yeah, he's playing. He's a linebacker, and you're taking the best ball hockey free safety in the NFL, and you're making him. As I've said before, it's like taking a Lamborghini mud bogging. It makes no sense.
Yep.
But now I like what they have. Now they have Deshaun Elliott, who can do all these things and can play out of the slot and can cover tight ends and has the speed to help as that back end defender. Now they have Patrick Queen, who could play match up with tight ends and running backs. You have Peyton Wilson, who is faster than Neil ever dreamed of being, and he can do so many of that dime linebacker things that Minkah was trying to do last year. Minkah sacrificed his All-Pro status. He sacrificed his Pro Bowl status, all to help the team, and he didn't complain. It wasn't like he all of a sudden, he had no splash plays last year. He created no turnovers.
Nope.
That's the first time in his career. That's what the man is known for. But yet he sacrificed all that because that's the kind of player he is. He's a team first guy. But this year, we don't want to see that anymore.
But I just don't like it's. I mean, I love your analogy, and I know you've said it before. But the Lamborghini mud buggy, like, I get you don't want your defense to collapse in on itself. I get the Steelers think they run a really advanced defense, all those things. But when Minkah's getting 100+ tackles a year, like that's insane. But also, aren't you better to play? It's not like he's just one of the top 10 or he's the top 15 free safety when he plays it. He's like the best free safety in the league. Don't you want to play the best person at the put it this way, right? If Justin Fields was the best quarterback in a top 5 quarterback in the league, right? Even though he's athletic, and the Steelers had 4 wide receivers tear their ACLs, they're not going to pick Fields up and go, you're playing wide receiver now, and Russell Wilson's going to be the quarterback. You don't do that. I don't know. It really just infuriated the heck out of me, because there are a few games last year when the Canada offense did absolutely, we know they did zero a lot, but there are a few games last year where a Minkah turnover, considering he got none, could have changed the game. They could have won the game. They could have maybe had a home playoff,
You said something right there that I think we're missing, is that the offense ineptitude of Matt Canada and that whole system, that whole side of the ball, distracted the Steelers front office. That they were forced to do something so out of character by releasing him in the middle of the season or firing Matt Canada, that when they should have been scouring the trade market to bring in a strong safety to help Minkah be Minkah, they were focusing on, oh gosh, this is out of character, but we got to fire an offensive coordinator in the middle of the year. Then you turn around and you're like, okay, we're focusing on this, helping the defense by giving them some more offensive assistance, and your starting quarterback goes down. Well, then, you already had a Mitch as the backup, and that was a disaster. And they finally got to Mason Rudolph, and they snuck in the playoffs. But it was, I believe, if it hadn't been for the offensive ineptitude, they would have been, like as we said, looking for a cornerback, if you remember.
Yeah, and they were looking for a linebacker. They were,
because they knew that Levi Wallace he no longer had it. But they should have been looking for the safety, because Neil wasn't the answer.
Well, and they also, I was a big bring in Jeremy Chin, right? Who's come out and said that the Steelers offered him, what they offered, him there, and he chose to turn it down. You could have moved a 4th for Jeremy Chin easily. But the Panthers would have taken that. They were done. They were done by the trade deadline. You could have moved, worst case, a 3. You do a future 3 for that, and that would have been Jeremy Chin, 6'3", 220 pounds in this defense, alongside Minkah. It would have been lights out. The Bills, you know what? The Bills wouldn't have racked up the score they did. That's
No,
for sure.
no way. But you said something else. You talk about how complex the Steelers' defense is.
Yep.
Well, I think in their mind it is.
That's what I'm saying.
But when you listen to the opposing offenses, they're not perplexed. They know what's coming. They know what to expect, and it can be highly predictable. And they know, hey, Spillane's in there. There's the weak spot. Target Spillane. Oh, Levi Wallace is in there. There's the weak spot.
There's
Keanu
John
O'Neal.
Bostic. I'm going to put Keenan Allen on John Bostic.
Yeah. Keanu O'Neal's in. There's the weak spot. So, it's one thing to have a complex defense that the Steelers coaches think it's hard to learn, but you got to have the talent there to actually carry out and fulfill the responsibilities of said defense. And they didn't have it. I think that's changed now.
And it's kind of like, and I'm not trying to, right now I'm probably sounding like a hater, I'm meant to be a homer on it, but like, that's exactly, I love that you picked up that. That's what it maybe, because I don't think I emphasized the sarcasm enough, but like, look, I'm sure there is a lot of complexities to some things the Steelers do, but I just think there's this narrative that's put out there that the vaunted Steeler defense and this complex and all this stuff. But then you watch a guy like Polamalu and you watch a guy like Minkah Fitzpatrick, because we all hear that the defense hasn't changed that much, right? Mm-hmm. Like, that's what everyone says, But like those guys are these absolute, and obviously their athletic traits and their instincts are huge in this, but they sort of play this free ranger sort of style, like this X factor, I'm trying to think the right word. It's escaping me, but this, almost change agent in the secondary, and they get to play outside of this. They get to play loose within this tight fitting scheme. And what the heck thing they call these plays, because the other team knows things to be so predictable. So it just kind of, I don't know. I saw this article and it just absolutely revved me up. It got me fired up. It got me cranky. You shouldn't live in the world in the past and live in the what ifs and the ifs, should, coulds, buts, all that sort of stuff. But I throw this back to the Steelers almost, and it's like, as Tomlin says, it's not what you're capable of, it's what you're willing to do, right? Yes. And what were you willing to do to fix that, right? And I still think that, because I was having a look at the roster, and yesterday, or less than 24 hours as we record this, I put out the show on ESPN's rankings, and they have the Steelers with the 6th best safety room. And I'm a bit like, I actually think the safety room's better, but you know what? I'd still like another strong safety on the roster, because the slot corner is still a question, even with Cam Sutton, and Deshaun Elliott in some schemes is going to have to go there. Who's the strong safety if Deshaun Elliott goes down? That's why I wanted them to draft a guy late, right? Like, that's why I really wanted, James Williams out of Miami, who fell in the draft. I wanted them to look at a safety later on. They didn't do it. Now, look, there's safeties are often ones that do get cut as you go into training camp, particularly when there's new defensive coordinators, or post-training camp. But I'll ask you, do you think the Steelers need to still think about getting some more strong safety depth? Because we talked last week, KZ is in a safety and Killebrew is a special teamer. I mean, strong safety. KZ's not strong safety. Stand correct.
I've been on record. I really like Eric Rowe. I thought he was a really good pickup last year. His history with the Patriots and with Belichick, he's very versatile. He's very smart. We had talked about Justin Simmons and stuff like that. Well, when they got Sutton back, there's a guy with experience. He's going to be – Sutton can even play some deep safety. He did in the past. Him and Fitzpatrick would switch, to keep things, fresh and not predictable. And, Sutton had his best year last year at Pittsburgh. And he kind of roamed around, moved around. So I think that kind of takes Simmons off the board, especially with the price. So then you start looking at guys like a Rowe, who's out there and available. And as you say, there'll be some guys hit the waiver wire, that could bring that experience. But it wouldn't shock me at all. And I agree with you to bring in another guy that, that can offer special teams help but give you that experience on that back end in case something was to happen.
And that's why I do think as we look ahead to training camp, I think, Ryan Watts, it's going to be very interesting to see where they play him at his size, speed, because.
So there's another guy you could work in that slot. You could work against bigger tight ends, like quicker guys.
Oh, yeah.
You can put him with his length and size on a Kelsey if you get matched up like that. I know everybody's saying he's going to be a safety, and I agree, but not immediately. I think immediately he has that versatility that he can work a good bit, even on the outside if required.
But I also think, you don't want a guy like that. You don't want him to lose the cornerback instincts as he transitions to safety, but he's not. He needs to learn cornerback in the NFL. He hasn't played cornerback in the NFL, so I like that. Okay, cool. Well, that's gonna wrap up this segment of the Steelers Global Perspective. Stay tuned for more from me and Shannon.